Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. Inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Welcome back, midnight viewers, to Father Malone's weekly roundup. I'm Father Malone, and this hound from hell, growling and foaming beside me, is none other than Miss Ripley Jean. They were invisible on Supernatural, but I don't know if that's true of all hellhounds. When I think of a hellhound, I think of American Werewolf in London. That is a creature from beyond. Like you, baby. And speaking of creatures from hell, I'm going first. Sorry, you snossed and lost, dog. My expectations for my choice this week were beyond in the basement. They were subterranean. You know that hole in your heart that goes all the way to China? The one you can't see the bottom, but believe me, it's a long way down. Well, that's where my expectations were hovering. This is the third incarnation of this comic book. I want to call him a newbie character because I assume I'm still in my 20s. But since he debuted around the same time as Harley Quinn, and people assume she's been around since the golden age of comics, I guess he's now a classic, and as such deserves multiple interpretations. It's just that the first two interpretations were just okay. In fact, they were diminishing returns. And I think when we all got a look at the out-of-context still from this movie a couple of months ago, I figured, well, this should be the equivalent of Crow Salvation or Scorpion King 4. How fucking wrong I was. Here's Hellboy, the Crooked Man.
There's something going on here. I need to understand it. Like you do.
That's exactly why you shouldn't be here.
You might say a demonic entity falls under our expertise. Crooked man's waiting on you.
That's interesting. Oh, you didn't want me to squash?
No, squashing's good.
I heard tales about him all my life. Most just called him the Crooked Man.
I thought Big Red wasn't scared of anything.
Oh, I know something you're afraid of.
You hear something?
Your road ends in the dark like mine.
Let's just keep on coming.
It ain't even really begun.
Come on, Snake, let's rattle.
Let not your horns be troubled. by way they know not. I will make the darkness light and the crooked things straight. You doubt the power of prayer, son? Just in case.
Oh boy, am I going to wax nerd-tastic about Mike Mignola, a man whose art style was described by Alan Moore as Jack Kirby meets German Expressionism. Perfect. Those fucking thick black lines, the crazy, simple, and yet somehow magnificently intricate designs. Remember that Disney flick Atlantis with Michael J. Fox? Me neither, but look it up. Mignola did the design work on that film. And speaking of Harley Quinn, she made her debut on Batman the Animated Series, which contains not only my favorite characterization of Victor Freeze, Mr. Freeze, but my favorite design of him, Mike Mignola again. Remember when the Joker killed Robin? The image of Batman holding Robin's corpse? Good God, an entire generation remembers. Mike Mignola. How about that run of Rocket Raccoon that really put him on the Marvel radar? Mike Mignola. So you can bet I was there opening day when one of the most promising new directors decided to adapt Mr. Mignola's most popular character into a feature, and a big-budget, splashy studio film to boot, with the perfect actor for the role. Weirdly, the very first Comic-Con I attended was back in 1993. That is where Hellboy made his debut in Comic-Con Comics number 2. You can bet I devoured Seed of Destruction, and Wolves of St. August, and The Corpse with the Iron Shoes. Oh man, wake the devil, y'all. Okay, here's the thing. I love that first film because it looks so goddamn good, and the performances are great, and the villains got menace to them. But that's all I love about it. Hellboy, like Blade 2, ended up being an action movie with virtually no horror. Definitely no scares. And that's what I loved about those books. What we got in the film was a weirdo Men in Black clone, an action movie with some supernatural touches. And who was that new hire who was supposed to be the audience proxy? I'm sorry, if you loved the movie, I get it, particularly if that was the only exposure you had to this character. Golden Army is a sequel that doubled down on the beautiful, that the designs and locales and even characters are better in almost every way, except it falls into the previous film's trap with the Marvel big light in the sky as the villain that must be stopped third act. So I might have been the only one who was stoked to hear that Neil Marshall and David Harbour were rebooting the series. The promise of a more intimate story and the director of The Descent and Hard Home, that was the episode of Game of Thrones with all the fucking zombies, you remember it. What could go wrong here? Well, everything. It was disappointing in different ways than the first films. It amped up the violence and the language, which was not unwelcome, it just kind of forgot everything else. So, here we are, Hellboy, the Crooked Man. Screenplay by Mike Mignola and Chris Golden, with an additional pass by director David Taylor. This one stars Jack Kesey, who I didn't realize was the man in the makeup in that sad still we got a few months ago, but man, am I glad it is him. Did any of you watch Claws? I know you watched it. You watched it obsessively. It was on USA Network a few years ago, a Breaking Bad type crime saga set in Florida and centered around a nail salon. The lead character was played by Niecy Nash, and she had an on-again, off-again relationship with a muscly doofus gangster named Roller. I want to say he was the best part of the show, but there were so many fucking great actors on it that wouldn't be fair. So I'm just going to say he stood out. That's Jack Kesey. He was great there. He's perfect here. I love Ron Perlman, and I think that character makeup looked remarkably like Mignola's original designs, but Mignola's designs look great on paper and weird in the real world. The Harbour makeup was awful. It made Hellboy look like some douche who insisted on going to the club despite his obvious mishap with a tanning bed. I think the design on this Hellboy is spectacular. It looks real-world enough and cartoon enough while still being believable. He's walking around in full daylight, and it never feels like a mask. It looks like real skin. It looks like that guy's face. And gone are the wisecracks. Gone is the bro behavior. I just love pizza and beer and hanging out with my buds and gooning over Liz. The Hellboy in the books is more Harry Callahan than John McClane. That's the version we're getting in this story, which is a stripped-down one-off, like a great one-issue or a run of issues of a Hellboy comic. It takes place in 1959 in the Appalachian wilderness, and get this, it's a horror movie. This one's designed to scare first and have action and jokes and banter a far distant, I don't even know if it's second, it's more like a roving right field. The creep factor just keeps rising throughout. It's a hell of a reminder that intimate stories work just as well as those involving the end of the world. Here, a farmer is fighting for his soul against an ancient evil that's been terrorizing the denizens of his local community for decades. This crooked man is a fearsome opponent. He actually rivals Reverend Kane from Poltergeist 2 as far as elderly terror goes, and he's ably assisted by Leah McNamara as this southern she-devil in a slip. I might be going light on the movie because it's so evocative of the original comics. Actually, yes, I'm being very easy on it. Even though this is a scaled-down film, it ends up kind of overreaching given its budget. It does feel like the pilot of a television series at the beginning, or maybe the finale that the network pumped a lot of money into. The effects, particularly at the beginning, foretell a bad time for all. But once it settles down and the story kicks in, I didn't notice any of the limitations. The action isn't John Wick levels either, but this isn't an action movie. It's a horror movie, based on a horror comic book. Alright, I'll stop being a snob now. The Hellboy the Crooked Man is available on VOD, and yes, you should buy it. We could do worse than have a continuing series of films or TV movies or whatever the fuck, just so long as they keep doing it in this tone with this Hellboy. All dogs love Ron Perlman. It's because of Beauty and the Beast. I bet it has to be a confusing sensation. He's clearly a cat, but he's so damn sexy. Hey, do not involve me with your fantasy life. Help me, HP.
Come and listen to a dog that's hip. Here we go, it's Riff Picks, yeah!
Hey, HP, you got any gum? Dying to know your pick, young lady. Wow, that's cool. Continuing the trend of hell flicks. Right here in the title, this was the director's first horror flick after a long sojourn through crime dramas and superhero flicks. And it's got Justin Long in it, so you know it's good. I'm being totally serious. Horror plus Long is a winning equation. From 2009, it's Drag Me to Hell.
Mr. Jacks, I was wondering if you'd made any decision regarding the assistant manager's position.
It's between Stu and yourself.
Stu Rubin, the new guy?
Stu's someone who's not afraid to make the tough decisions.
I'm perfectly capable of making the tough decisions.
I'll let you know as soon as I decide, okay?
Will you help me? Please.
Okay. We have an elderly woman asking for an extension on her mortgage payment. We would have to throw her out of her house.
We've already granted her 2 extensions. It's a tough decision. Your call.
Another extension is out of the question.
Where will I live?
I'm really sorry.
Never have I begged for anything, but now I humble myself
Mrs.
before
Guinness,
you.
please.
I beg you.
Please let go. Please let go. Security!
You shame me.
Soon it will be you who comes begging to me.
Someone has cursed you. He's the Lamia, the most feared of all demons. For the first 3 days, the spirit torments its victims. After that, it will come to take you.
Take me where?
To burn in hell for eternity.
It's coming for me.
Please listen to me. There's nothing coming for you.
How do I get rid of this?
welcome. You can give the curse away.
Time for an annoying autobiographical pause. This was back in 95. I was crossing a street on Wilshire Boulevard in Santa Monica. I was coming from Kookaroo Chicken. Remember them? Oh man, the sides. Their potatoes were clouds of buttery delight. Anyway, as I near the end of the crosswalk, I notice the nearest car has a man and a woman in the driver and passenger seats and 2 children in the back who are causing a ruckus. Both of the parents turn to deal with them, and as they do, I realize it's Sam Raimi. And for what must have been a split second, but felt like a fucking eternity, I found myself staring and unable to break away as all of my favorite horror movies were playing in front of my eyes, and my brain was screaming, "Hey, it's Sam Raimi!" while a lone voice struggled to be heard over the din of film fanatic chatter, which was saying, "That man and woman are just trying to deal with their kids as they go about their lives. And you're frozen in the middle of a crosswalk and you look like a fucking psychopath." So I was mercifully able to continue on before they noticed my lunatic glare. Anyway, leave it to Sam Raimi to bring gypsy curses into the 21st century. Doesn't work on paper, shouldn't work at all. It does with his camera. Mrs. Ganush is one of the most fearsome horror villains I've ever seen. How a nun became an instant icon and not Mrs. Ganush's handkerchief is a crime. Again, I'm being totally serious. Any doubt if Raimi still had it as a horror maestro after years of Spider-Man films can be answered definitively with this flick. He makes a handkerchief a source of terror. Fuck. I love Sam Raimi. And you know who else I love? Alison Lohman. My God, she hit the scene so hard. White Oleander, Matchstick Men, Big Fish, and then this. And then I believe she went and started a family, which is fine, I suppose. Good for you. But goddamn, we as a film-going audience have been painfully denied a lot of great performances over the years. I believe every fucking thing she does. She is worth her weight in gold, and does great work in supporting or lead with seeming effortlessness. And this movie is fortunate to have her. People call this film a throwback, and it is in a lot of ways, starting with that classic 60s Universal logo at the beginning. Beautiful. And it's the simplest tale. Girl crosses the wrong witch and is cursed to be taken to hell by a demon unless she can exorcise the demon or pass the curse on to someone else. Threadbare's a good description of that plot. But Raimi, with his brother Ivan assisting on script duties, layers in so much excellent characterization and so much observed behavior. Lohman's character Christine is a bank loan officer who, against her own moral judgment, effectively forecloses on an ancient woman's home for no other reason than to prove to her boss that she's worthy of advancement. This was during the housing collapse at the end of the decade, and it felt relevant rather than exploitative. And it didn't make us hate her character. That's why the film is fortunate to have Lohman, because what easily could have been 90 minutes of sick thrill watching a terrible person get what they deserve, we get a human being who made a bad choice and regrets it before the supernatural intrigue begins. And we watch her try every avenue to right that wrong, and we feel absolutely every defeat because of her performance. Also, Mrs. Ganush is horrifying, alive or dead, and undead. But the Lamia? Hoo boy. I rarely have nightmares after a fright flick, but the Lamia likes to possess other living things. One of those incarnations I can see when I close my eyes. God damn you, Sam Raimi. You know what? This film is a throwback to when a horror filmmaker wasn't interested in a fucking franchise. He just wanted to tell a good story with good characters, designed to put the screws on you and scare you so badly you turn on the lights after you finish watching it. Give me all the throwbacks. I mentioned Justin Long, but Lorna Raver as Mrs. Ganush deserves equal mention, as does Dileep Rao as a psychic who tries to help get the Lamia off of Christine's back. But the special MVP is Adrian Barazza as Sean Sandina, a character who's dealt with the Lamia before and has returned to deal with it again. She's rock solid. You would want her running any seance you were involved in. Drag me to hell. Not going to say another thing about it in case you've yet to feast your eyes. Feast? Shoe fly pie. Delicious. Why would we have shoe fly pie? You know I've got that gluten thing. That's why you get the bun anytime I get a hamburger. Fuck that lettuce wrap shit. You got another in you, young Ripley? Some more in the tank for one more pick? Since we've had 2 hell films, let's trifecta this motherfucker. I'll actually make this brief. While I wholeheartedly recommend the film, I am certain that 90% of you are going to hate it. So what do you do if you've managed to make 2 films in a row that are absolute perfect documents of punk rock, an absurdist comedy, and a musical biopic? Make a punk spaghetti western, of course. This is Straight to Hell.
Room service!
We hold up here till the heat blows down.
What about the money?
We bury it.
Oiga, aquí están en peligro. Márchese rápido.
Strangers, Frank.
What brings you killers to town? Blood!
Money.
Sex. My town is your town. Stay as long as you like.
Gun is just a tool. Ain't no better or no worse than the man that uses it.
A town cannot have 2 bosses.
How much longer do we have to stay here?
Till the job's done.
Town can only have 1 boss.
What do you want?
Make me mad. Make me mad.
Directed by Alex Cox, written by Cox and Dick Rude from 1987, this film stars Joe Strummer from The Clash, Cy Richardson, underrated? No, wildly underrated, and Courtney Love, yes, Courtney Love, as bank robbers who go on the lam and find themselves trapped in a surreal western town with cowboys and hot dog salesmen and coffee. Lots and lots of coffee. Yes, even before David Lynch began shouting about America's latest beverage obsession, Alex Cox made every character in this film an absolute fiend for Java. Those cowboys are mainly played by Irish punk folk geniuses the Pogues. It was during the making of this film, in the Spanish desert of Almeria, that Shane MacGowan wrote the songs that would make up the fucking masterpiece that is If I Should Fall from Grace with God. Here, you'll probably recognize it from a minivan commercial.
If I should fall from grace with God, where no doctor can relieve me. If I'm buried beneath the sod, still the angels won't receive me. Let me go, boys, let me go, boys. Let me go down in the mud where the rivers are undry.
I don't care who they sold it to. It is a perfect album. And if this film exists just so that album could have been made, then this film is worth it. But you know what? The film itself is worth it. I mean, don't go looking for a plot. This is as Italian in presentation as any of Sergio Leone's work. It's a meandering meditation on machismo and myth, and lots of other M-words. And it's in no hurry to get to any real story. This might be weirdness for its own sake, but I don't care. I love the mood here, I love the weird mashup of genres, and I love everyone on camera, and behind the camera. Alex Cox would never be as playful again as he is here. Walker isn't exactly a laugh riot. I mean, the very conceit of it, yeah, but we're not exactly giggling during the invasion of Nicaragua. Plus, this movie has Grace Jones. She's in it for one scene and maybe has one line, but goddamn, Grace Jones is always worth the price of admission. That's the wisdom I'm leaving you with, young Ripley, and all of you at home. You're not perfect, but you're perfect for me. Oh, Ripley has a copy of Inside Story. Watch out, everybody. Actually, watch in. What? I don't know. Thank you, Midnight viewers, once again for rounding up the week with Ripley and myself. If you want episodes early or want to support our insane mission of twice-a-week entertainment for you, you can go to patreon.com/Father Malone. Though, really, just giving us 5 stars on whatever app you're listening to us on would benefit us immensely, as would subscribing and liking and sharing and all the social media hoo-ha. We'll leave you with a line from the Lamia and other L words.
No! You tease me, you black-hearted whore!